Hi, my name's Lauren Olvera, and I am currently a senior at Frisco High School. This is my second year in ISM. So last year I studied litigation and transactional law. This year I plan on pursuing two of the following fields, either medical malpractice, financial litigation, or constitutional law. The reason why I'm considering the following fields in law is because I've not yet decided on my mentor, or asked for the attorney to be my mentor. I chose to join the ISM program because I wanted to further comprehend the law career as a whole prior to jumping into law school and not really knowing what I was doing and spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, which nobody really wants to do. Before introducing you to the journey which I have taken so far, I want to discuss why I decided on researching law last year as well as this year. I should go back. It's okay. I've grown up in an environment where my family and I discuss political events and current events. Both of my parents have encouraged me to pursue knowledge and truth in everything. They have also been there to push me past my limits and to do my best in all that I accomplish, which has inspired me to find the career that I am meant to be in before attending college. As I was researching quotes from my portfolio, I found some advice from Mark Cuban, billionaire owner of the NBA Dallas Mavericks, which resonated with my decision about my career choice. The inspiration I got from this quote. Wait, can you go to the next slide? Because it was just kind of a whole passage I read over what he was stating. And the inspiration I kind of got at the end and I took away from it was, forget about finding your passion. Instead, focus on finding big problems. This is something I've been considering as I research fields in law. What can I solve in the legal system today? What problems with the system are directly affecting citizens today? Keeping this in mind has influenced my choice of attorneys to interview and which field I want to pursue because of my discussions with them. Alright, so I'm going to move on to interviews. My first interview was with Matthew Marchant, who works at Strasburger & Price, LLP. The company was actually where the firm rather, was where my mentor from last year worked. So I thought that I would kind of research other attorneys from her firm to get a good idea on what other fields I might want to study. So Mr. Marchant works in city, counties, and special districts, financial services, governmental infrastructure, and land use, and real estate. It's kind of a funny story, but the night before I found out he was the mayor of Carrollton. So when I went into the interview, he was like, well, are you interviewing me because I'm an attorney or a mayor? And I was like, I honestly didn't know until later on. So I got a lot of good advice from him about staying on task, setting a vision, and developing relationships with clientele. Kind of when I asked him about law school, he just told me that he would really recommend that I make sure I know what I want to do in the future and have that set goal in my mind. He also recommended, like I said before, to develop relationships with clientele. And he said this because, he's like, one of the things that that they don't tell you when you go into law school is that you need to build your own client base. And this is pretty much with most jobs. People aren't going to just come to you right off the bat after law school or medical school or anything and ask you to work on a case for them or anything else. So you really need to be able to network and develop that kind of clientele base. As far as law school, he also encouraged to create a study group. So kind of just having that ground of people who have the same goal and mindset, and it really helps in just being encouraged and knowing that you're not the only one who's striving for perfection, but there's others around you. He also encouraged me to have flawless attendance. So, if you miss one thing in law school, you might, one class, you might be lost through the rest. And it's really important to be able to know what you're doing, know what you're reading, because the law teacher could easily just come up and ask you, well, what did you learn from this case, and blah, blah, blah. So that's what I got from Mr. Marchant, and I really liked talking with him and just learning about kind of more of the political side of things rather than just the law side. So he was really friendly because he's a mayor, so he made me feel comfortable just for my first interview of this semester. The next person I interviewed, these aren't really in any particular order, but was David Fracht. I actually had an over-the-phone interview with him, and Elisa Richberg, she gave me the connection. And I think, ISM as a whole has encouraged you to be networking with people, and I think it's a great idea that we have students around us who can help with that, and I thank Elisa for really just connecting me with him, which was awesome. Next, he attended the University of California and Harvard Law School. Oddly enough, he said that law school was really easy. I've never heard that before, and then later on I ended up talking to someone else in my interview process, and he was like, well, Harvard Law School doesn't have any grades. So I was like, okay, that's probably why he thought it was so easy. But his parents also are attorneys. He is an officer in the United States Air Force Reserve. Kind of my conversation with him just was on the basis of, we talked a lot about Guantanamo Bay, and he revealed to me some of the problems with the soldiers' interrogation actions and their, like how they interrogated the clients, his client specifically, Mohammed Jawad, who was an alleged combatant facing charges for events from when he was a minor. He was prosecuted for acts allegedly committed when he was a juvenile. And he also represented Ali Hamza al-Balul, who was actually the alleged al-Qaeda propaganda chief from Yemen. So it was really interesting being able to talk to him, as he was very experienced with his career field, and he was able to give me a completely different perspective that I didn't have when I had my other mentor. So he talked to me more about international law, which is something that I'm actually interested in pursuing. It's just harder for me to pursue that because of the kind of lack of attorneys kind of in the Dallas area who pursue international law. But yeah, I was able to learn a lot from his interview, and I really enjoyed talking with him about international law. My next interview was with Amanda Loafmiller, and she's actually the attorney who I want to ask to be my mentor. She is involved in commercial litigation, consumer financial litigation, financial services, and real estate law. And she actually originally practiced in medical malpractice law. And I thought when she was explaining to me what medical malpractice was, it really intrigued me, and I was kind of encouraged to find out more about it. And because you're protecting the client's rights, or the what happened to the client if you're defending the client from the hospital, if the hospital did anything to harm them, or did anything that the client felt was offensive or anything like that, she would deal with. And I thought that was really interesting. I kind of had a connection with her because she used to be on the debate team, and I was on the debate team for 2 years. And it was just really cool to see, as she talked to me, how that affected her career and kind of her analysis skills and stuff. She also works at Strasburger and Price. She actually works at the one in Frisco. And she told me that what she loves about her job is the challenge of solving, not cutting corners, and fighting for the underdog. And I think fighting for the underdog mostly applied with medical malpractice, because the hospitals are kind of seen as big, and then the clients it's kind of harder to defend them with such a big entity. So it was really great talking to her and discussing her fields in law. My next interview was with Riyasha Hedke, who is an attorney at Sheaf & Stone. The fields that she works in are corporate transaction, employment, and real estate. So I just kind of define these. Corporate transactional law is when involves companies and creating arguments between two entities, contracts between employers, clients, and suppliers. And then employment law involves creating arguments for firing employees or vice versa when the attorney protects the employee from being fired or from any other suit. Real estate law involves giving money to the employee and release from the claims. And she also worked with a lot of mergers and acquisitions between two entities, and she worked on preparing documents. So just kind of going back to real estate law, it includes giving money to the employee and release from the claims. Most of Ms. Hedke's work deals with mergers, as I said. If the case is a large case, it'll usually take about 3 months, whereas if it is a smaller case, the time span usually is from about 3 to 4 weeks. Regarding employment law, the client's cases address either sexual harassment, religious, and racial discrimination. So it was really interesting being able to see her perspective of things and how kind of like even in employment law, like kind of the employee and the employer relationship and how that affected the company, as she explained to me. Another interview that I had, I actually had 7 interviews, so some of these I left out just because I felt some of the main ones that I learned the most from, that I didn't learn from other ones, were necessary to put in the slides. So I wanted to go ahead and talk about Hiram Saucer. He works at Liberty Institute, and he's actually a managing director of strategic litigation. He deals with First Amendment and other constitutional and civil rights issues. He actually had some military service on his belt, kind of like Mr. Fracht. He was a headquarters commander, a company executive office, and training officer in the United States Army Reserve. What was interesting from my interview with him was he actually told me that what pushed him to be involved as an attorney was that, being in the military, you get scholarships and such, and your school gets paid for. So he was actually interested in law, so he decided to become an attorney. He works with Liberty Institute as a whole works with religious liberty, so suing government when rules or regulations violate religious rights. I really enjoyed learning from him because last year I actually studied the Hobby Lobby case, and that involved Hobby Lobby. They believed that their religious rights were being violated. So kind of speaking with him, I already kind of had that prior knowledge about religious rights. So it was just great being able to have a conversation with him and learn his view on religious liberty. My most recent interview was with Thomas Ashworth, who is the Assistant District Attorney at Collin County. And he deals with mostly white-collar crime, so state and federal drug possession, DWI, murder, robbery. This was really cool being able to talk to him because honestly, throughout my whole time in ISM, I've never really met anybody or spoken with anybody who has talked to me about criminal law. So I was really able to go from kind of litigation and corporate law to prosecuting, which is what he does. He's a prosecutor. So some of the advice that he gave me was to take mock trial in either college or high school, to work really hard when not needing to know how to improve. And this was really interesting what he said. Like, I've never heard this in my lifetime, but he said to learn that it's important to learn how to study the material. So, you know, when you have to study for a test or whatnot, you have to know the topics that you have to study for. But he encouraged me to learn how to study those topics. So, because if you just know how to know what materials you need to study, then you won't really get anywhere if you don't know how to study, if that makes any sense. He also said that I need to be sure to get a legitimate degree for a job before attending law school. So, for instance, if I were to get, he actually got an English degree, and he said that this was not a really good choice on his behalf, just because if he were to ever not graduate law school or decide to drop out, then he couldn't really go that far with his degree. So that's why he encouraged me to get a legitimate degree. And then one of the rewards which he told me that he had and he loved getting from his job was winning a difficult case for a victim you believe in, achieving justice. And I thought that was really cool, just seeing his vision of justice and seeing his vision kind of most of the lawyers who I spoke with had. And it was just really encouraging to me to see that there's that sense of morality in law, despite what we may think. And then lastly, he kind of told me how a case becomes a case. So originally they file a report, then the police department works the case, and then there's a warrant filed, then a judge arrest, police department gets involved, and then the grand jury gets involved, and then once you have enough information to indict, then you'll go to court, and then that's where Mr. Ashworth comes in as far as having the prosecutor there, and then there will be a plea recommendation from whoever's charged, and then after that a trial. And overall, I really enjoyed going on these interviews, and I feel that I was able to learn the most from my interviews, which is why I didn't put as much research into my PowerPoint, because I really feel that hands-on experience has helped me gain more knowledge. Something that Mark Cuban said that resonated with me, other than my quote from the beginning, was, "It doesn't matter if the glass is half empty or half full. All that matters is that you are the one pouring the water." And I thought that was really important and kind of resonated with me because no one in my family has gone to law school or become an attorney or anything of that sort. And it's just really encouraging to know that I'm the one who chooses my future. It doesn't matter if, I do well and I succeed, or if I don't do well and I fall several times, because no matter what, I'm the one who's making those decisions, and it's just really encouraging to see that I can continue to see what my future holds and make those decisions. Thank you.